In this video, I will be discussing the roles of microtubules in cilia and flagella. So cilia and flagella are actually usually thought of as appendages that are extensions of the cell that allow them to move. But there are actually some forms of cilia and flagella that are used for non-motile work of the cell. So here, for example, we have sensory flagella that are projecting out of the cell. Another example would be the cilia that are found lining your respiratory tract. The cilia there are actually not used for the cell's movement, but instead as a sweeper to drive away the mucus that contains foreign bodies out of the respiratory tract. Then again, there are those cilia and flagella that are used for movement. And they are usually found in unicellular organisms. Some of them are found in the cells of multicellular organisms, like in sperm cells, which contain flagella for motion. So in terms of the differences between flagella and cilia, one obvious way that you can differentiate the two is based on the numbers per cell. So you might say that cilia exist in multiple numbers, while flagella can only exist singly. But you can be mistaken there, because there are certain cells that have more than one flagella, and then there are cells that have just one cilium. Okay, so what's the difference? The difference is on the way they move. So here we can see cilia. I think this is on a paramecium. And we can see how they move in waves. Okay, so notice how the cilium moves here. Okay, so the direction of the organism's movement is towards the right, as indicated by this arrow. And here on top we have the power stroke, wherein the cilium is actually stiffer and it's more extended, and then it moves in this direction. So this is power stroke, allowing the organism to move in this direction, the opposite way. And then there is this recovery stroke, wherein the cilia actually folds and then returns back to a position where it can do another power stroke, so that the organism can continue moving. So take note of this movement. This movement is actually sort of in perpendicular to the microorganism's movement. Okay, so it's perpendicular to the microorganism's movement. And in the flagella is like a tail, of course, as in the sperm cell. And the flagella whips from side to side. Okay? And the whipping of the flagella from the side to side drives the movement of the cell or the microorganism. So in those differences of movement, we can actually distinguish flagella from cilia. So here's the flagellum of a microorganism. All right. So now let's talk about the main structure that are found in cilia and flagella, the axoneme. So this is like the core of every cilium or flagellum. So it looks like this. It resembles your centriole, if you can remember your centriole. The only difference is here there are two central microtubules. So these are microtubules. And instead of threes, the microtubules that are surrounding the central portion are in pairs. Okay, so there is the A1. The A is the complete microtubule, and then there is a B1. The B1 is the one that's sort of incomplete. Okay, So this is in a 9+2 conformation. This is in eukaryotes, strictly in eukaryotes. Because the flagella in prokaryotes are constructed differently. So here's a clearer illustration. So you can really see here the A microtubule and then the B microtubule, okay, which is incomplete. And here you have your central microtubule and then the spokes that connect the peripheral microtubule pairs to the center point. And then there are 9 of them, just like in your centriole, but they are in pairs. And you can see projecting from the A microtubule are actually the dynein motor proteins, which sort of touch the B microtubule in the next pair. Okay, so you can see how they are arranged. So this is a longitudinal view of the cilium or the flagellum. So you can see here the central sheath and then the peripheral doublet. So by the way, each one of these are known as doublets. And then you have here the radial spokes. So here is a 3D view of a doublet. And this one is supposed to be an incomplete microtubule with the protofilaments being incomplete. So this is sort of, there's a mistake here in this drawing. And the only complete microtubule should be this one. This is the A1 and then this is the B1. So you can see how the dynein are projecting outwards from the A microtubule. And here in between are the spokes that would connect this doublet to the central sheath. And then after the axoneme, just under the cell membrane connected to the cilium or the flagellum would be the basal body. Remember in the previous videos, we have talked about the basal body as one of the microtubule organizing centers. It's one of the mTOCs. The other being the centrosome. So if you can remember that, this is how the basal body looks like and this is where it is located, at the base of every cilium or flagellum. So here we are doing a cross-sectional cut of the length of the cilium or the flagellum. So you can see here, this is where our cross-section a while ago is from. So you can see the doublets, you can see the spokes, and you can see the central sheath in this portion. And just near the base, the central sheath is actually absent, as you can see here. And here in the basal body, if we cut through that, now it is very similar to how the centriole looks like. So there are triplets instead of doublets. And the central sheath here is sort of missing. So how do cilia and flagella grow in terms of length, or how do they adjust their length? Okay, so the answer is in intraflagellar transport. So there's actually transportation of materials from the base of the cilium or the flagellum to the tip, and vice versa. So we can see here certain vesicles that are in clusters, and they are actually moving along the length of the cilia or the flagellum. So there is a transport happening here, and this transport is similar to your vesicular transport, and they are carried about by motor proteins like your kinesins and dyneins. Okay, so these are microtubule related motor proteins. So we can see here, for example, that for vesicles, intraflagellar transport that are moving towards the positive end, meaning towards the tip of the flagellum, because this is where the cell is supposed to be, at the negative end. It's the kinesins walking along the microtubule that carry these vesicles. Okay, so towards the positive tip. So So this could happen because new materials need to be added in the positive tip so that the microtubule can grow in length and so that the flagellum or the cilium can also grow in length. And the opposite, wherein the transport is towards the cell, towards the negative end, it's the dynein motor proteins that carry the intraflagellar vesicles. So how do flagella and cilia move? Well, it has something to do with a motor protein that we call as the flagellar or ciliary related dyneins. Okay, so this is in opposite of those cytoplasmic dyneins. Okay, if you can remember the cytoplasmic dyneins, those are in the cytoplasm, and these are flagellar and ciliary related dyneins. So, of course, we've seen them a while ago projecting from microtubule A of a doublet and touching the microtubule B of another doublet. You can see it here in movement. Okay, so this one is the B microtubule from another doublet, and this one is attached to the A microtubule of one doublet. So with the use of ATP, as the flagellar dynein moves like this, it also moves with it the B microtubule from another doublet. So if this happens synchronously, as you see here, okay, we can see the movement or the sliding of the different doublets of the flagella or cilia. And then there is a recovery stroke, as we can see here, so that this can repeat again. So if that happens in sync, we can see how the flagella here moves, or the cilia moves from side to side as the different doublets slide past each other, carried about by the movement of the dynein molecules.